Hard work wins. In a quiet little village named Sonapur, nestled between rolling green hills and winding rivers, lived an old man named Ramu. His house was a tiny hut made of mud and straw, with a thatched roof and a small garden full of vegetables. Ramu was known in the village for two things: his kind heart and his hard-working hands. Even though he was over 70, Ramu woke up every morning before the sun, worked in his garden, tended to his cow, and helped neighbors without expecting anything in return. But old man Ramu wasn't alone. Living with him was a little girl named Sita. She was an orphan who had lost her parents in a flood when she was only 5. Ramu had found her scared and hungry, hiding under a broken cart. He took her in, gave her food, clothes, and most importantly, love. Sita loved Ramu like her grandfather, and he loved her like his own granddaughter. She would follow him around, carrying his tools, helping in the garden, and listening to his stories about magic mango trees, clever monkeys, and brave kings. Though they didn't have much money, they were rich in love. One hot summer afternoon, a royal messenger arrived in the village square, beating a drum. "Dum dum dum! All villagers gather around," he shouted. People rushed from their homes, curious and excited. The messenger unfurled a golden scroll and read, "By the order of King Virendra, a grand competition shall be held in 1 month's time. The person who grows the biggest and healthiest pumpkin shall win 100 gold coins and a place in the King's Gardeners Guild." Everyone gasped. 100 gold coins. That was a fortune. Enough to buy new clothes, build a proper house, and even start a small business. Ramu smiled and turned to Sita. "What do you say, my little gardener? Shall we try?" Sita's eyes sparkled. "Let's do it, Dadaji. Let's grow the best pumpkin in the whole kingdom." And so, their journey began. The next day, Ramu and Sita visited the market. There, among dozens of stalls, they found an old woman selling seeds. "Looking for something special?" she asked with a toothless grin. "We want to grow a pumpkin. The biggest and healthiest one," Sita said proudly. The old woman rummaged through her pouch and handed them a shiny golden seed. "This one is special, but remember, it only grows with hard work, patience, and love." Ramu paid her with the last of his savings. "We'll take good care of it," he promised. Back home, they prepared a soft bed of soil in the sunniest part of the garden. Together, they planted the golden seed, watered it gently, and marked the spot with a little wooden sign. Hope. Every day, Ramu and Sita worked on the garden. They woke up early, watered the plant, cleared the weeds, and talked to it like it was a friend. Sita would sing to it, "Grow little pumpkin, big and round, roots in soil and leaves unbound. We'll work hard, come sun or rain, and bring you joy, not just gain." Neighbors watched and laughed. "Old man Ramu thinks talking to a plant will make it grow faster," said Gopi the potter. But Ramu didn't mind. He knew something they didn't, that plants, like people, grow best when cared for with love. Some days it rained too much, and they had to cover the plant with banana leaves. Some days the sun was too strong, and they built a shade out of bamboo. They worked, not just with their hands, but with their hearts. Meanwhile, across the village lived Lal Singh, the richest farmer in Sonapur. He had dozens of workers, shiny tractors, and more seeds than he could count. When he heard about the competition, he laughed. "I will win without lifting a finger," he boasted. He ordered his workers to plant 10 different pumpkin patches using the best fertilizer and machines. But while Ramu and Sita worked side by side with joy, Lao Singh only barked orders and slept under a fan. One morning, Sita ran into the garden and screamed, "Dadaji, look!" The pumpkin leaves were turning yellow. Holes had appeared in them, and tiny bugs were crawling all over. Ramu knelt down, examined them carefully, and said, "Aphids, little pests." He didn't panic. Instead, he made a mixture of neem oil and soap and sprayed it gently on the leaves. Sita helped wash each leaf carefully. For days, they guarded the pumpkin like soldiers. Slowly, the plant regained its strength. The leaves turned green again, and the vines stretched across the garden like sleepy snakes. Then, one morning, a tiny green pumpkin appeared. Sita jumped with joy. "It's growing!" Days turned into weeks. The pumpkin grew first the size of a mango, then a watermelon, then even bigger. Ramu built a soft bed of straw under it so it wouldn't get scratched. Sita sang her song every morning. Even the neighbors stopped laughing. "Have you seen Ramu's pumpkin? It's enormous," they whispered. Meanwhile, Lal Singh's workers struggled. His pumpkins were large but full of holes and rot. He yelled at them, but nothing helped. "It's just a matter of luck," he muttered angrily. But it wasn't luck, it was hard work. Finally, the day of the competition arrived. The village was buzzing with excitement. People dressed in their best clothes. The king's men set up a grand stage in the square. Dozens of farmers arrived with carts full of pumpkins, green, orange, round, long, big, small. But none were as beautiful as Ramu and Sita's, a giant golden orange pumpkin, smooth and glowing in the sunlight. The king himself arrived, dressed in royal robes and a jeweled turban. One by one, the pumpkins were measured and inspected. When the judges reached Ramu and Sita's pumpkin, they gasped. "This one is perfect," whispered one judge. The king walked over, touched the pumpkin, and smiled. "Who grew this?" Sita stepped forward and pointed to Ramu. "My grandfather and I did, Your Majesty." The king asked, "How did you make it so perfect?" Ramu bowed and said, "With hard work, care, and love, Your Majesty. Nothing more." The king turned to the crowd and announced, "The winner of this year's competition is Ramu and Sita of Sonapur." The crowd cheered. Lao Singh grumbled and walked away. The king awarded them 100 gold coins, a golden medal, and a place in the Royal Gardeners Guild. But that wasn't the best part. He also said, "Sita, would you like to study in the royal school? We will give you a scholarship." Sita's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, Your Majesty, thank you." Ramu hugged her tightly. "You earned it, Betty." They used the money to repair their hut, buy better tools, and help the village by building a small school garden where all the kids could learn to grow things. Sita went to the royal school during the day, but never forgot to tend to the garden with Ramu in the evening. Years passed. Sita grew up to be a famous scientist who created eco-friendly farms all over the kingdom. But every time someone asked her how she became so successful, she would smile and say, "It all started with one seed, an old man, and a belief that hard work always wins." And in the village of Sonapur, kids still sing her song, "Grow little pumpkin, big and round, roots in soil and leaves unbound. We'll work hard, come sun or rain, and bring you joy, not just gain,